엄청 큰 작업이고 그냥 오늘 초록초록하네요. 산수화의 느낌을 좀 넣으려고 오늘 일부러 수성 흑연이라는 거를 이제 써보고 있는 거예요. 그냥 흑연인데 이게 가루로 되어 있어가지고 먹을 갈아서 이렇게 칠하는 것 같은 느낌이 들거든요. 그래서 이제 바위는 흑연으로 지금 하고 있고 나머지 나무는 오늘 너무 초록초록 예뻐서 이거는 수채화로 해보고 있습니다. 인왕산의 바위가 어떻게 생겼는지 뭐 이런 것들 보면서 그리면서 좀 더 많이 보게 됐거든요. 확실히 많이 보고 기록하고 보면 어쨌든 애정도 생기고 각자 살고 계시는 동네에 뭔가 개입해보는 이런 것들을 그림으로 해보시는 것도 너무 좋을 것 같고요. 인왕산을 이번 주말에 한번 올라가 봐야겠습니다.
독립출판을 하면서 책을 입고하러 다른 책방에 많이 다니면서 책방에 관심을 가지기 시작했고요. 좀 더 재밌는 일을 좋은 사람들이랑 많이 해볼 수 있겠다는 생각이 들어서 책방을 열었습니다. 책방을 좀 재밌는 공간으로 오래 지속을 하려면 특색이 있어야겠다고 생각을 했고요. 그러다 보니까 제가 제일 좋아하는 거를 가져와서 해야겠다. 그게 스페인이었고, 이야깃거리도 되게 많잖아요. 역사적으로도 문화적으로도. 그래서 관련된 걸 채워도 공간을 하나 열 수 있겠다 생각이 들어서 스페인으로 결정을 했습니다. 시작은 건축가 가우디였어요. 고등학교 때 우연히 서점에서 가우디 책을 발견했고 그걸 계기로 스페인에 관심을 가지게 됐어요. 그냥 너무 신기했던 것 같아요. 처음에는 세상에 이런 건물을 짓는 사람이 있구나. 그게 신기해서 가우디에 관심을 가지고, 근데 가우디가 바르셀로나를 중심으로 활동을 했잖아요. 그러다 보니까 바르셀로나에 관심이 생기고, 그러다 보니까 그 관심이 이제 스페인까지 넓어진 거죠. 일단은 저희가 스페인 책방이니까 테마에 맞게 스페인 관련된 책, 그리고 중남미 관련된 책이 제일 먼저 들어오고요. 근데 그 안에서 테마는 다양해요. 문학도 있고, 예술도 있고, 여행도 있고요. 근데 이제 스페인이나 중남미 관련된 책이 1년 내내 엄청나게 많이 나오는 건 아니다 보니까 사실 공간을 꽉 채우기에는 약간 부족하거든요. 그래서 그 외의 책들은 제가 관심이 있는 책들을 그때그때 골라서 입고를 하고 있습니다. 네, 먼저 첫 번째는 바르셀로나 지금이 좋아 라는 에세이이고요. 이 작가님이 2년 동안 바르셀로나에 살다 오셨어요. 그래서 일상 에세이인데 배경이 바르셀로나인 에세이라고 보시면 될 것 같아요. 여행의 기분도 살짝 느낄 수 있긴 하지만 그것보다는 바르셀로나의 삶, 내가 해보지 않았어도 좀 상상을 하거나 대리만족을 할 수 있는 그런 책인 것 같고, 일단 문장이 되게 담백하면서도 조금 찡한 부분도 있고, 그래서 제가 굉장히 애정하고 많이 추천을 하는 책입니다. 다음은 아모르 365라는 스페인어 책인데요. 부제가 사랑에 빠진 그대를 위한 스페인어 문장 모음집이에요. 365가 붙어 있잖아요. 하루에 한 문장씩 스페인어로 된 사랑 관련 문장을 담아낸 책입니다. Ninguna estrella brilla como tus ojos. 아무래도 스페인어를 공부하시는 분들도 많이 구입을 하시고, 아니면 공부를 하고 있는 친구나 연인에게 선물도 많이 하시는 책인 것 같아요. 네, 세 번째 책은 비교적 최근에 입고된 책인데 그 산티아고 순례길에 대한 책이고, 프랑스길이 제일 유명하거든요. 그래서 이것도 작가님이 프랑스길을 여러 번 다녀오신 후에 만드신 책인데 모두 수채화로 되어 있고요. 얘가 아코디언 북이에요. 순례길이 동에서 서로 800km 정도를 걷는 길이거든요. 그래서 얘도 오른쪽에서 왼쪽으로 책이 이어지도록 쭉 이렇게 붙여서 만드신 책입니다. 한 군데 추천을 드리자면, 봄이나 가을처럼 좀 날씨가 좋을 때는 바로 근처에 남산골 한옥마을이라는 곳이 있어요. 거기가 규모도 좀 되고 앉아있을 수 있는 곳도 좀 많고 하기 때문에 거기에 책을 들고 가셔서 독서를 해보셔도 좋을 것 같습니다. 최대한 제가 할 수 있는 한 오랫동안 공간을 지키고 싶은데, 그래도 저희 책방의 특성에 맞게, 그리고 제가 스페인을 굉장히 좋아하기 때문에 그 특성을 계속 가지고 가고 싶거든요. 스페인 좋아하는 사람들의 좀 단단한 커뮤니티가 되면 좋을 것 같거든요. 비슷한 걸 좋아하는 사람들이 계속 모여가지고 좀 우리만의 재미난 커뮤니티를 만드는 게 목표입니다.
Hello and welcome to our morning edition of Arirang News. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. As the federal government shutdown continues in the United States, the U.S. Senate has now begun voting on a plan to reopen the government. Meanwhile, President Trump ordered air traffic controllers to return to work, warning that those who do not would have their pay substantially docked. South Korea's Navy carried out its first ever fleet-level drill involving 7 warships and 3 aircraft, aimed at boosting operational capabilities. A year-long trade truce between the U.S. and China has now taken effect as part of their agreement reached during a recent summit between the two countries' presidents in Busan. China also said it'll suspend sanctions on U.S.-based subsidiaries of a South Korean shipbuilder, Hanwha Ocean, for 1 year. We begin this morning in the United States, where the Senate is voting on a legislation to end the federal government shutdown. And with more than 2,000 flights canceled across the United States on Monday, President Donald Trump demanded that air traffic controllers return to work immediately, threatening to cut their pay. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday demanded that air traffic controllers return to work immediately as flight cancellations continued to mount during the ongoing government shutdown. In a post on social media, Trump warned that controllers who failed to report to work would have their pay substantially docked, while those who have stayed on the job during the shutdown would receive $10,000 bonuses. The current shutdown, now in its 41st day, is the longest in U.S. history. Around 13,000 air traffic controllers and 50,000 Transportation Security Administration agents have been forced to work without pay, with many calling in absent due to financial strain or family obligations. The Federal Aviation Administration said last week that between 20 and 40% of controllers were absent at major U.S. airports on any given day. Meanwhile, President Trump told reporters on Monday that a deal to end the shutdown was very good and that he would abide by the agreement, though he noted that some terms might still change. He said that the deal has enough support from the Democrats and would be opening up the country very quickly.
Depends what deal we're talking about, but if it's a deal I heard about, that's certainly, they want to change the deal a little bit, but I would say so. I think based on everything I'm hearing, they haven't changed anything, and we have support from enough Democrats, and we're going to be opening up our country. It's too bad it was.
The comments come as the U.S. Senate on Sunday advanced a House-passed bill designed to reopen the federal government. The proposal would fund the government through January 30th and include a package of 3 full-year appropriations bill. The U.S. Senate on Monday went ahead with a series of votes to lift the government shutdown. Following Senate approval, it would then go back to the House for a vote before being sent to the President to sign. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, following the summit between Presidents Donald Trump and Xi Jinping in Busan 2 weeks ago, the long-awaited truce in the prolonged trade war between the United States and China has now taken effect. The Chinese government also announced that it'll suspend sanctions on U.S.-based subsidiaries of Hanwha Ocean for 1 year. Our Song Yoo-jin has the details.
The heated trade tensions between the world's 2 largest economies appear to be entering a temporary cooling phase. Starting Monday, the United States has halved its fentanyl-related tariffs on Chinese imports from 20% to 10%. President Donald Trump made the announcement aboard Air Force One following his October summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Busan. The agreement finalized the framework set by negotiators in Kuala Lumpur just days before that high-stakes meeting.
I put a 20% tariff on China because of the fentanyl coming in, which is a big tariff. And based on his statements today, I reduced it by 10%, so it's 10% instead of 20%. Effective immediately. I believe he's going to work very hard to stop the death that's coming in.
With this, the overall U.S. tariff rate on Chinese goods will fall to roughly 47% from 57%. In return, Beijing has suspended its new export controls on rare earths for 1 year, critical materials used in electric vehicles, smartphones, and military hardware. It has also suspended retaliatory tariffs on U.S. agricultural products, including soybeans and pork, in response to Washington's fentanyl-related measures. In addition, the two sides have extended their mutual reciprocal tariff suspension for another year, which was due to expire this month.
The main consensus reached during the economic and trade consultations in Kuala Lumpur between China and the United States pertains to the U.S. Section 301 probe measures against China's maritime, logistics, and shipbuilding industries, as well as the extension of the suspension period for reciprocal tariffs.
This has brought good news for South Korea as well. On Monday, China's Commerce Ministry announced a 1-year suspension of sanctions on 5 U.S.-based subsidiaries of Hanwha Ocean. Last month, the ministry had barred Chinese organizations and individuals from doing business with these companies, accusing them of supporting the U.S. government's Section 301 probe into China. 송유진, Arirang News.
Now, as for negotiations between South Korea and the United States, their joint fact sheet is taking longer than expected to finalize, as it has yet to be released after the Korean government said it would come out sometime last week. Now, the paper will likely contain key details on tariff agreements and the nuclear submarine program, following U.S. President Donald Trump's approval for South Korea to build one. For more on this, we're joined today by Chun In-bum, Lieutenant General retired and former commander of South Korea Special Forces. General Chun, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
So, from South Korea's perspective, what key security issues do you think must be included in the joint fact sheet?
Well, the fact sheet is supporting the overall joint communique, which is a diplomatic document that explains the agreement and where we are with the alliance. The most important thing, of course, is the reaffirmation of the strength of the Korea-U.S. alliance. That must be included. I think that because many people term that this year's negotiations or meeting was so critical that it's taking a little bit more time, which means there's a lot of prudent thinking going on. So I think that we need to wait and see what happens. But the most important thing that needs to be included is the reaffirmation of the alliance.
Right, and very few countries in the world have nuclear-powered submarines. So if South Korea were to get one, what would that mean for the country's security?
Well, number one, it will significantly increase our deterrent capability. What that means is it will give the Republic of Korea a second strike capability. If the North Koreans were ever to attack and destroy a considerable number of South Korean military capability, it would be nearly impossible to destroy these nuclear-powered submarines. In turn, these submarines will give us the ability to strike back at the North Koreans. As Minister An Gyu-baek has said, it will keep them awake. Another benefit is by developing and manufacturing this nuclear-powered submarine, it's going to boost our economic capability. The reason being is that all the work that's going to go into this, all the knowledge that we will get from the development of a nuclear-powered submarine is going to have secondary effects on our ability to use that for civilian purposes. This will greatly help our knowledge base and support our economy.
Right, and the Trump administration said a nuclear submarine would be built in Philadelphia, but South Korean officials have been questioning the feasibility of building this in an American shipyard. So is it actually unrealistic to build it in the United States? And do you think the two sides can find common ground on this issue?
I think it's natural for President Trump to wish that this nuclear-powered submarine is built in the United States. I assume that he has mentioned the shipyard in Philly, not only is it not adequate, but in order to make it more usable, we would have to invest a great deal of money. And even then, it was uncertain that we would be able to build the submarine there. So, in short, the feasibility is very limited. But I understand why Mr. Trump would want to have that built in the United States. But all of this is something that is need to be negotiated. And I think with the goal of mutual interest that we will be able to come to a good conclusion, because for mutual benefit and economics, it's only rational that it should be built in the Republic of Korea.
Right, we'll have to see if they do reach an agreement on that issue. And the EU administration hopes to settle the issue of wartime operational control transfer with the United States before the president's term ends. How should this issue be resolved?
So actually, there's nothing to resolve. Whenever we South Koreans want to have wartime operational control, there's no objection by the United States. The only concern is that will the Republic of Korea be ready to conduct full operational control of its forces? Now, we already have operational control. We already have command of our own soldiers during peacetime and armistice. To extend that to wartime, fine, but it's going to cost a lot of effort and the commitment by the Korean people. So the effort and commitment is the only question that we should be focusing on. So we make it sound as if this is something to be resolved with the United States. But in reality, in my view, it's something that the South Korean people need to realize, that with the transition of operational control, it means a lot of responsibility for the South Koreans. And are we ready to do that?
I see a lot of things to consider. And before I let you go, there are also concerns about potential changes to the size and role of U.S. troops here in South Korea, especially after U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the alliance remains focused on North Korea, but also needs some flexibility. What's your take on this?
So let me be very clear. The United States has never said that they will fix their forces on the Korean Peninsula no matter what. But at the same time, the United States has always guaranteed that the mission of U.S. forces in Korea, especially the Combined Forces Command, is focused on deterrence and keeping the peace on the Korean Peninsula and Northeast Asia. So the U.S. position has never changed. It's the only thing that is changing is the understanding by the Korean people. And we need to get accustomed to this idea that if something happens in the Indo-Pacific, that USFK, United States Forces Korea, will get involved one way or the other. To me, that's only natural. I think we should accept this fact and even support it. Once we do that, we don't have to worry about the size of USFK. It can reduce or it can increase, as long as we understand that the United States resolve to help us maintain peace and security is solid.
I see. All right, General. Thank you so much for your time and insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
South Korea's Navy had launched a new task fleet command earlier this year for flexible operations going beyond specific maritime regions. It conducted its first major drill to boost its combat capability. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung was at the site.
Warships going at a speed of 10 knots target an enemy warship located around 8 kilometers away. Water columns splash on the surface of the sea as the ships fire their guns at the same time. This is part of the Navy Task Fleet Command's 3-day drills to enhance operational capabilities.
Marking the very first fleet-level maritime maneuver training, the Navy's Task Fleet Command conducted a variety of drills moving across the East and the South Sea.
Navy's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fleets operate in the East, West, and South Seas, respectively, whereas the Task Fleet Command, established this February, aims to undertake operations across all maritime regions and even beyond the South Korea's maritime boundaries. The command had only conducted test group and squadron-level exercises until now. 7 warships, including the Aegis destroyer ROK's Cheongjo the Great, and 3 aircraft took part in the first fleet-level exercise, some 70 kilometers east of Pohang. Under simulated scenarios, ROK's Seoe Ryuseongyong detected multiple aircraft operations and missile attacks. After tracking the threats, the vessel ordered other warships to engage in combat and successfully took down the targets with SM-2 missiles.
Through its first fleet-level maneuver exercise, the Task Fleet Command was able to establish an operational posture capable of executing assigned missions anytime, anywhere. It will continue to maintain military readiness with overwhelming combat power, ensuring victory in any contingency.
The command will hold such exercises regularly to strengthen its capability to deal with whatever threats it might encounter. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News, Pohang.
In other news, a U.S. lawmaker has reintroduced a bill to renew the North Korean Human Rights Act, which expired in 2022. According to the U.S. Congress website, Representative Young Kim, a Republican from California, submitted the measure last Friday with Democrat Ami Berry as co-sponsor. Originally enacted in 2004, the act has been periodically renewed in 2008, 2012, and 2018 to support human rights and freedom in North Korea. Its most recent authorization expired in September 2022. Although the House passed a reauthorization bill last November, the Senate failed to advance its own version. The act promotes humanitarian aid, human rights advocacy, and efforts to expand access to uncensored information for the North Korean people. In a historic first, U.S. President Donald Trump has met Syrian President Ahmad Al-Shara at the White House. Now, this marks the first visit by a Syrian head of state since the country's founding in 1946. Our Pyongyang reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump has met Syrian President Ahmed Al-Shara for closed-door talks, marking the third meeting between the two leaders this year, following their encounters in Saudi Arabia and at the UN General Assembly. After the summit on Monday, President Trump said the U.S. would temporarily lift sanctions on Damascus to help spur reconstruction in the war-torn country.
He's a very strong leader. He comes from a very tough place, and he's a tough guy. I liked him. I get along with him, the new president of Syria. And we'll do everything we can to make Syria successful because that's part of the Middle East. And we want to see Syria be successful along with the rest of the Middle East.
The summit also comes after decades of frozen relations between Washington and Damascus, which were severed in 2011 when the U.S. imposed sweeping sanctions over the Assad's government's violent crackdown on pro-democracy protests. The two nations have since remained on opposite sides of the Syrian civil war, with Washington backing opposition forces while Damascus turned to Russia and Iran for support. Al-Shara, a former al-Qaeda member once on the U.S. wanted list, broke ties with the group in 2016 and led the overthrow of the Assad regime last year. Washington officials say the meeting reflects a major shift in U.S. policy, with Syria expected to join the U.S.-led coalition against the Islamic State. Experts view the summit as a symbolic turning point, signaling Syria's gradual return to the international stage and a potential realignment in the Middle East order. Pyongyang, Arirang News.
The South Korean government is set to decide this week whether to approve Google's request to export its high-resolution map data. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport says a special committee will meet to determine whether to allow Google access to the data needed for its 1 to 5,000 scale maps, which can display buildings, roads, and alleys in fine detail. Now, this is Google's third attempt to obtain such data, following previous rejections in 2007 and 2016 over national security concerns.
Good morning, I'm Chu Ji-hyun, and this is The World Now. Starting in India, where a car explosion in Delhi has killed at least 10 people and injured more than 30 near the city's historical Red Fort. Authorities say a slow-moving vehicle suddenly exploded near a traffic light close to a metro station by the Red Fort at around 6:40 on Monday evening local time. 6 cars and 3 auto rickshaws caught on fire as flames lit up the area. Police say the cause is still unknown, but they're investigating from every angle. Security has been tightened nationwide with airports, railway stations, and government sites on high alert. The U.S. Embassy is urging citizens to avoid large crowds in Delhi. India's Prime Minister expressed condolences to the victims' families, calling the blast tragic. In the U.S., President Donald Trump has threatened to sue the BBC for $1 billion, accusing the British broadcaster of falsely editing a 2021 speech linked to the Capitol riot. Trump's lawyers on Sunday sent a letter demanding the BBC retract its documentary Panorama and issue an apology, saying the edited version made it appear incited violence. The broadcaster admitted the footage was an error of judgment and apologized, but denied systemic bias. The controversy has already forced the resignation of the BBC's Director General and Head of News. The network says it will respond formally to the legal threat while working to restore public trust. Trump's legal team claims the edit caused major reputational damage and violated defamation law. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been released from prison after serving 3 weeks of a 5-year sentence for criminal conspiracy. A Paris court approved his release on Monday as he appeals his conviction, ruling he is not a flight risk. Sarkozy, 70, will remain under judicial supervision. He's barred from leaving France and may have to wear an electronic tag at home. Sarkozy maintains his innocence and says he was a victim of political revenge. Basketball legend Lenny Wilkens, a Hall of Famer as both player and coach, has died at the age of 88. His family says he passed away on Sunday surrounded by loved ones. Wilkens recorded over 1,300 NBA coaching wins and led Seattle Supersonics to its only championship in 1979. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame 3 times and remembered as one of the game's greatest leaders.
Korea is truly a gift from nature nowadays. Everywhere you look, you can enjoy the beautiful golden hues and rich autumn colors. However, yesterday's blue skies came with a serious chill. It was cold yesterday, but this morning was even colder. But despite the harsh start, temperatures will warm up dramatically by the afternoon. But another sign we are getting close to the end of the year here in Korea is the upcoming Suneung Day, the college entrance exam day. Temperatures will be above season norms on a test day, meaning we will fortunately avoid a typical exam cold snap this year. This afternoon, most regions will see highs above 15 degrees Celsius, topping out at just 15 degrees here in Seoul. Daegu, Gwangju will be topping out at 16 degrees under sunny skies nationwide today. The weather gets colder after Suneung Day, and then early next week, we will wake up to a real winter chill. So enjoy the last stage of stunning autumn weather while you can.
That's all we have for this morning. Arirang News will be back at noon Korea time. Thanks for watching.
거북목 진짜 저 필요해요.
실제로?
네, 그럼 뭐 축구할 때도 막 이렇게 많이 뛰잖아요.
사람이
빠졌어요.
의자에 앉으실 때에는
네.
더 장력이 강하게 작용이 될 거예요.
어때요?
우와! 다녀오겠습니다. 밥 먹고 가라! 거의 그 느낌이야, 지금.
어깨가 올라가네요.
자신감이 있고.
깨뻥이. 13.77.
13kg의 당김의 힘으로 어깨를 펴준다는 건데.
Need a miracle for that straight spine? Here comes your solution. Snap, snap, bam. Shoulders open wide, spine angle revive. Perfect S-line transformation complete. And smartphone addicts, pay attention. That posture racing towards the neck disc, stop right there. Just putting on this hat instantly saves you from text neck disaster.
제주 영어 교육 도시의 중심 NLCS 제주에서 세계 명문대 출신 엘리트 교사진과 해외 커리큘럼으로 전 세계 상위 1%의 학사 성과를 달성하고 있으며 졸업생들은 세계 최정상급 대학으로 진학하고 있습니다. 전인적인 성장과 함께 꿈을 찾아가는 특별한 교육의 가치. 글로벌 동문 네트워크로 계속됩니다. NLCS 제주가 명문대 진학의 길을 열어갑니다.
Optimal industrial infrastructure, convenient transportation infrastructure, Key secondary battery cluster. Future industries. A center for marine tourism. Livable residential environment. An investment hub for a better future. Gwangyang Bay Area Free Economic Zone.
We're here to bring a new type of news show. New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Tuesday, November 11th here in Seoul. I'm Isujin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Haeyoung.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. And also Rashid is with us.
Yes, delighted to be here.
Good to have you.
Yes.
And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So we're now into day 2 of the work week. And as everyone gets back into their rhythm, let's talk about a new kind of exchange that is making waves. And it's not about money, but talent. It's the idea of trading what you're good at with someone else's skills. So think of it as a modern twist on bartering. So instead of exchanging goods or cash, people are swapping their abilities. It's practical, creative, and it's building a real sense of community among people who want to share what they know. So what exactly is this skill exchange trend, and have you tried it, Seung?
Well, skill exchange is basically about trading your own talents with someone else's, like learning new hobbies or skills in return. And it's been growing in popularity here in Korea lately. And what's interesting is that many of those exchanges are actually happening through online secondhand marketplaces. And in my case, I volunteered for several years teaching English to children of immigrant families. And it wasn't exactly a trade or exchange because I taught for free, but I still felt I gained so much watching those kids grow, and they are gaining confidence was incredibly rewarding. So even without money or formal exchange, I think that spirit of sharing and encouraging one another is what really makes this trend so special.
That sounds super meaningful. So what about you, Rashida?
So for me, like I've joined language exchanges, like teaching English while learning Korean and Japanese. I don't do them these days, but I still have friends who continue to do it. So I even once traded English lessons for personal training classes, which was a really fun and motivating way to learn from each other.
So real quick, so how was that experience? How did you get started doing that?
Okay, so like I got really close with one of the PT teachers. So like she found out that I can speak English, and then she said, would you like to do PT classes in exchange for English lessons? Because I really want to learn English.
Right.
Yeah, so that's how it started.
I feel like that's a really good deal because those personal training classes are quite expensive.
Very expensive, yeah.
The language exchange really shows how both people can benefit. It's not just about learning a language, but also about connecting across cultures. It's such a fun and easy way to connect with people while picking up a new skill. And it's such a great example of how sharing your skills can be mutually beneficial. So both people walk away having learned something new. And to learn more about what we're going to discuss today, take a look at the screen.
Many of us are looking for new hobbies to take up, but one of the biggest challenges is figuring out how to learn them. That's where a new trend in Korea comes in. People are exchanging their own talents to learn new hobbies and skills. It not only saves money, but it also offers a chance to connect with others and pick up something new without the pressure of formal lessons. So today on News Generation, we take a closer look at this growing trend, what kinds of talents people are trading, and what skills we'd personally like to exchange.
So as we just saw in the video, exchanging skills isn't just practical. It's also a fun way to connect with others and try something new. From learning a new language to picking up photography or cooking, people are finding creative ways to share what they know. It's not just about saving money or gaining a new skill. It's also about building connections, meeting like-minded people, and discovering talents you might have never explored on your own. So we've been hearing a lot about skill exchanges lately, but just how popular is this trend among millennials and Gen Zs?
If
older generations used to develop their skills and hobbies through sort of private academies, millennials and Gen Zs today are taking a different approach. They are learning from one another by exchanging their talents, skills without any money involved. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the skills exchanges are happening through online secondhand platforms. In fact, take a look at the data I've prepared on the screen. According to Carrot, one of Korea's most popular local community apps, commonly known as 당근 Market here in Korea, posts related to skill exchanges in the third quarter of this year rose by about 7% compared to the same period in 2024. So it's clear that more and more young people are embracing this culture of sharing and connection. All right, that's super interesting. So while previous generations focused on clubs or academies to develop themselves or enjoy hobbies, today's millennials and Gen Zs are finding ways to learn new skills through skill exchanges without spending money. And the numbers do back it up. The fact that posts about skill exchanges on platforms have grown by 7% also really shows that. So this makes me wonder, what kind of skills are people usually exchanging these days, Rashina?
So these days, people are exchanging their talents one-on-one through mutual agreements. So some offer lessons in guitar, personal training, or coding, while others share skills like rehabilitation therapy or language tutoring. The range is incredibly broad, from hobbies such as Go, which is a Korean chess, kolbaduk, and piano, to practical abilities for career growth, like programming and foreign languages. In short, almost any skill can become part of a meaningful exchange.
That is also very meaningful. Any skill is worth it. So it's kind of like getting the best of both worlds. You teach something you know while picking up a completely new skill. I can see why so many people are trying it out. And to get even more perspective on this, we'll be speaking with someone from another country who has experienced exchanging skills here in Korea. That conversation is coming up right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
So joining us today is Austin, who's from the U.S. and has taken part in skill exchanges, teaching something he knows to learn something new. So hi, Austin. First of all, thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm good. It's a great day.
Okay, to start off, so what kind of skills have you taught and what did you learn in return?
I normally would just teach English language skills and how to be more comfortable and how to better understand the English language through things like slang and idioms, so people would not be as scared and feel more comfortable talking to native speakers.
I see. So Austin, yeah, please continue.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No,
All right. Then based on your experiences, what do you think are the best parts or benefits of doing a skill exchange?
I think the best part is that you can learn little tips that maybe you might not know in a academy or in a book, that you learn from being someone who knows the skill. So, for me, it was learning Korean. I would learn what's more formal and what's more casual. Things like that would help me a lot.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure you learned plenty by now, right? So, if you have a chance, what's another skill you'd like to learn through a skill exchange in the future?
Ooh, playing guitar. That's my next skill.
Great. So just another quick question before I let you go. So can you just tell us more about the experience you had learning, or is there anything specific you remember from your Korean learning for Korean language exchanges?
One thing I learned was how to say this is so delicious in a better way that's not how do I say it? Foul language.
Because at first I learned and it was bad language, and then I learned in a proper way, and that was really fun for me because I was like, okay, that's something you would learn from people who actually speak the language.
It's always really good to learn from locals, especially anything related to food. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Austin.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, see you.
See you.
So we just heard from someone who's experienced skill exchanging firsthand, teaching a skill they already know while learning something new in return. But why has this approach, swapping skills instead of paying for lessons the conventional way, become so popular, especially among the younger generations, Haeyoung?
Well, in the past, people were more familiar with the idea of skills donations or skills-based volunteering. Rather than skills exchange, it was often seen as a form of volunteer work, like giving your time or skills to help others without expecting anything in return, just like I shared my experience. But over time, younger generations began to see their abilities as a kind of capital, something that holds real value, just like money. So when you think about it, the idea of donating a skill naturally leads to the awareness that talent itself can be also exchanged, not just given away. And now the biggest reason millennials and Gen Zs are turning to skill exchanges is, of course, the economic one. Many of them want to keep learning and developing themselves, but the cost of private lessons or membership fees for clubs can be quite high. In fact, a recent survey showed that among young people who said they don't pursue self-development, 14% cited financial burden as the main reason. So skill exchange has become an affordable and practical alternative, a way to learn something new, share what you are good at, and connect with others, all without spending money. So in the end, there's really no reason not to try skills exchange. It's a creative solution to both economic and social needs.
Was there like a particular hobby that you wanted to continue but you couldn't because of?
Oh my gosh! Immediately I thought of Pilates class. I really wanted to continue. I took Pilates classes for 3 months, but it was so expensive. Especially when it comes to Pilates, it's much more effective when you have one-on-one private lesson. But it costs about $600 to $700 per month, so it's quite expensive.
And the thing with Pilates is that you only feel the effects of it if you do it for a long time.
I know. 3 months, too short.
That's a lot of commitment, right? So that's fascinating. It's almost like the idea of talent itself has evolved into a form of capital, like Haeyoung said. But imagine it's not just about cost. There must be other motivations too. For example, does this trend also create more chances for people to meet others or feel part of a local community, do you think?
Oh yes, talent exchange is also a great opportunity to make neighborhood friends. So since most exchanges are region-based, participants often meet people who live nearby and share similar interests. This creates a friendly and practical learning environment. Many members of the MZ generations are especially drawn to this trend because they see it as a way to use their time efficiently to gain new skills and at the same time building connections.
So earlier you told us that you participated in a skill exchange where you taught English. Are you still friends with this person?
Of course.
This is a good way to meet people as well. So it's really serving a dual purpose, not only helping people pick up practical skills, but also fostering real social connections in the process. So especially in big cities where many people feel isolated or disconnected, this kind of local interest-based exchange can be a refreshing way to build community. So we asked viewers on the Arirang News YouTube channel, why do you take part in skill exchanges or why would you want to? So here's what the results showed. So according to the survey, 64% of respondents said they participate in skill exchanges primarily to build connections with others. Meanwhile, 18% cited financial reasons, saying it's a more affordable way to learn something new. Another 14% said they prefer it because it comes with less pressure than joining clubs or taking private lessons, while the remaining 4% mentioned other reasons. So the results were pretty telling. The majority of people said they take part in skill exchanges to build connections. It shows that for many, it's not just about learning something new, but about forming meaningful relationships in the process, especially when it's so hard to meet people these days. So meanwhile, others who cited financial difficulties or that it's less pressure as reasons for participating in skill exchanges really highlight how it's become a more personal, flexible, and social way to learn. So on a more personal note, Haeyoung, what skill do you think you could offer in exchange, or what
would you like to learn if you took part in a skill exchange yourself? Well, I've always wanted to learn more languages. So if I had the chance to take part in a skill exchange, I definitely want to learn another language. Maybe French, Spanish, Japanese, or Chinese, German, Italian, anything. Each language has its own charm. So honestly, I'd love to, happy to learn any of them. And outside of languages, I'd love to learn video editing because I often travel with my kids, and I'd love to turn our travel photos and clips into beautiful videos, not to just post online, but to keep as family memories we can look back on years later. And as for what I could offer in return, well, I can teach English or Korean. Korean is my mother tongue, so I'm much more fluent in it. And I also make a pretty good Korean dishes too. So if anyone's up for a skill exchange, I will bring the lessons. So please let me know. Let me know, people. To promote you a bit more, obviously your Korean and English they're both perfect. But also for your cooking skills, can you tell us more about what the dish you're most confident in making? First of all, I'm a mama of 2 young kids, so I'm good at mostly cook Korean soups like 미역국, 소고기 묵국, 된장찌개, like soybean paste soup, anything. Yeah. I'm a pretty good cook. Huge variety of things that you can make, especially seaweed soup is actually really useful because people cook it on people's birthdays. I know. So there's a lot you have to offer. For me, it only takes like 20 minutes. 20 minutes? Yes, to finish beautiful seaweed soup. So anyone who's interested, please hit her up. So what about you, Rashida?
So for me, I think I could offer my creativity and communication skills, whether it's writing, storytelling, or helping others express their ideas confidently. And of course, I can teach English if they want. So in return, I love to learn something hands-on, like photography, or digital design, or even cooking and baking.
So I can see a skill exchange happening right there.
Yes. Okay, so for me, a skill exchange isn't just about learning new things. It's about connecting with people who inspire you to see things differently.
So while it sounds like a great way to meet people, there's still other things we need to consider. So are there any risks or things people should be careful about, Sia? That's a really good point, actually. Because while skill exchange is a great way to connect with people, safety should always have to come first. And since you're often meeting someone new, it's important to verify who they are before you agree to meet. And I'd also recommend avoiding meetings at home. Obviously, instead, try to meet in a public or shared space like cafe, community center, or a co-working studio. It just helps everyone feel more comfortable in that way. And of course, never share personal financial information, things like your bank details or mobile payment accounts. And even though most people join skill exchanges with good intentions, it's always better to stay cautious. And that way, you can focus on what really matters, like learning, sharing, and enjoying the experience safely. In this sense, it's good that you guys might be, if you guys do skill exchange, it's good that you both verified, you guys know each other now. So that's such an important reminder because as exciting as these exchanges can be, safety really does come first. So meeting in public spaces, verifying who you're meeting, and keeping personal information private are all key to making sure the experience stays positive. And beyond safety, there's also the matter of attitude. So since both people are coming together with a shared purpose to learn and to teach, what kind of mindset should participants have to make the most of the experience, Rashida?
Okay, so you have to be sincere when meeting each other with a clear purpose. So it's a great advantage that skill exchanges don't cost money, but that can also make people a little complacent. So it's important to remember that time is just as valuable as money. So both sides should put in real effort and stay committed. So that way no one's time or energy goes to waste.
I agree. So in the end, skill exchanges are about more than just learning. They're about connecting, sharing, and growing together. So maybe what makes skill exchanges so appealing isn't just the free lessons, but the idea that everyone has something to offer. It's a reminder that learning can happen anywhere as long as we're open to sharing what we know and learning from others. So as long as you approach it safely and with sincerity, it can be a meaningful way to pick up new skills while also meeting people. So it's really interesting to see how people are redefining learning, not through money, but through connections and collaborations. So the possibilities really do seem quite endless. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and discussions. A big thanks to Seong.
Thank you
for coming in, also Rashida.
A pleasure.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you have the best day. We are News Generation. All the meals here serve as a foundation of its practices. The process of making a meal requires deep interconnectedness. And being thankful for the effort is the first step forward. Tastes rendered by time, scented by nature, temple food is made with the wisdom of its practitioners, and it's a peaceful meal to fill your heart. Gratitude is the core of the practice. The refrain from the 5 pungent ingredients supports mental clarity and mindfulness. Refraining from taking the life of any living being, practicing to cherish all life. Satisfying your hunger and emptying your mind. Food can nourish the body and cultivate awareness. Keeping gratitude and relationships in mind, finding peace within yourself. Temple food, seeking to calm and clear the mind.